What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow, so today we are back finally going to be talking about Survivor again, literally after 1 year after Winners at War ended. And then we started talking about, I guess, Survivor South Africa, but then the challenge for the past like 8 months. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and specifically, we're going to be talking about the future of Survivor. That sounds so dramatic. But basically, just there are rumors that Survivor Season 41 and potentially Survivor Season 42 are both only going to be 29 days long instead of 39 days long. And I guess um, people are big mad about it, and so we thought that we'd throw in some of our opinions about how having a 29-day long season might be different from having a 39 long day season, and just have a discussion about that.
Yeah, so basically, we're going to list some pros and cons that we've thought of having a shortened Survivor season, some updates. Survivor season 41 has finished filming, and the rumor is that it's a shortened season. And then season 42, there was potentially a travel ban due to a rise in COVID cases in Fiji, but they were thinking that might cause a delay in filming for season 42, but Inside Survivor says that 42 filming was not delayed and that is starting or potentially has started already. So that is so excited. We're getting two new US Survivor seasons this year. And like Alyssa just said, it is rumored or they're expecting to have a shortened game between 26 to 29 days, but it seems like the 29-day is like the consensus for what the rumor is.
Yeah, and I guess I feel like when you say it, 10 days shorter doesn't sound like that much until you realize that means that the season is 25% shorter than it usually is. So,
I think like in general, having a shortened season, especially like during COVID, like we have to just be like thankful and grateful that we're even getting like a new US season, especially in Fiji filming, which maybe they could have found somewhere else to film, like Australian Survivor, they're filming in Australia. I think Survivor South Africa, that's going to air in June, they actually filmed in South Africa. So, like, we can't, you can't complain so much about how you hate this shortened season because so many people on the internet right now are hating on this shortened season. But it's like, you have to look at the bigger picture. It's great that we're actually getting a new season after over a year off with having no new Survivor. And I think with COVID and everything, it does make sense, especially if you're thinking like budgetary or timeline purposes, because they have to quarantine for 14 days before you start filming. So then that makes it 39 plus 14 plus travel time and like exit stuff that they have to do. So it does make sense with that 14-day quarantine that you may have to shorten things in order to like have that period set for filming.
yeah, and I think while it would be nice to just say, oh, they should just film in Hawaii or film in some other place in the United States, there might be reasons that that can't happen that we're not privy to. And I guess acting like, oh, you can just film in Hawaii or you can just film in insert location of your choice, I feel like that might be a little bit short sighted. And there's reasons that the Survivor production staff chooses to do what they do, even if I also agree that maybe we don't need another 40 billion seasons in Fiji. But
Yeah, I think Alyssa and I are in agreement. Overall, like, if you hate 29 days versus 39 days, like, there's nothing that you can do about it. Like, the season has been filmed. So, like, we're just going to talk about it. So there's no need to like leave any kind of mean comments on this video or anything like that because it's already filmed. So there's nothing that like you can do about it. But typical 39-day season, they would do a 3-day filming cycle with a reward challenge one day, immunity challenge another day, and then tribal council on that 3-day cycle. So with a 29-day shortened season, they would do a 2-day filming cycle. So people are thinking that you would have a combined reward immunity challenge day, and then the second day would be the tribal council. So you would shorten that. And so Inside Survivor basically was saying maybe you would have more double boots to get people eliminated and you would have the same number of people casted. So I think with the double boot thing, it really depends how production handles it, because if it's a double boot like Ghost Island where you randomly split the tribes or like make two tribes out of one tribe, that's bad, and you vote two people out, like we don't like that. Or if it's like Game Changers where two tribes go to one tribal and then you vote one person out, like that's not good either. You just can't. It has to be like you have three tribes, the two losing tribes at immunity go to tribal, and then they separately vote one person out. You cannot be doing that combining stuff if they want to speed up the game.
Or like if you're at a point in the game where there's an equal number of men and women left, do like one men's elimination and one women's elimination, where you have the separate immunity idols for men and women, and then just vote out one person of each gender. And I feel like that might be a way where even after the merge, they can have two boots out one time without it being like super unfair, I guess would be the thought. But yeah, I feel like double boots can be done right. I think another like fun thing might be if they go to tribal, they vote someone out, and then Jeff just goes, okay, now vote again. Like not telling them that they're going to be voting twice, because that would just be chaos, and it seems like the kind of thing that production would like to do. So yeah.
I agree. I think it really depends on how they do twists like this. And I think with the whole 29-day thing, it really, everything, if it becomes a flop as a shortened season, then we can see after season 41 airs. So like, I think it really depends how production handles this quickened timeline, and that could make or break the entire season. So it seems like initial reactions from people on the internet when this was rumored, posted online, people are hating the 29-day instead of 39-day season, saying that they're not going to watch the show because 39 days is Survivor and having 29 days is cheap. People don't want to watch because 29 days is not the real Survivor.
I feel like that's the kind of thing where like people take for granted the fact that Survivor has had so many seasons. And it's like, if Survivor sees a large enough dip in ratings, it's possible that we won't get another season after season 42. Like, I think Jeff Probst has said he'd be surprised if they make it to season 50. And I feel like people who claim to be fans of the show deciding just not to watch it because they don't want 29 days instead of 39. Like, you're never going to get another 39-day season if the show gets canceled. So.
Exactly. So, I don't know. It's sort of like, personally, for me, I'm like, oh, 29 days if I were to be on the show versus 39, like, that sounds great. 10 less days of having to suffer, sleeping outside in the cold, having to deal with all of these other people. And it's like, the day thing is sort of arbitrary to begin with, because it's not like 39 days. Why did they pick that? It's not really a magic number. It's like they probably picked 39 because of the 3-day system, but it's like other seasons of Survivor, different versions do different numbers of days. So like Survivor South Africa is a 27-day season. And then like Survivor Australia, they have 50+ day season. So it's not like 39 is the standard that every single other version of Survivor also uses, but it's like, oh, Australian Survivor is great, and it's 50 days. The Survivor South Africa seasons that Alyssa and I watched were great, and they were only 27 days. So it's like, I don't know. The day thing is just sort of arbitrary to begin with. So if you were like hating, oh, if it's 35 versus 39.
Yeah, it is arbitrary. And like, not even all versions of US Survivor had 39 days. There was a 41-day season. So it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and so I don't know. I think with this, it's like, do people actually look at the day counter on the screen when you're watching the episode? Like, do you know, oh, it says day 6 today. Now I know what they were doing on day 6. So it's, I don't know. Each episode follows the same format anyways of like, oh, you see some camp life. They go to a challenge. You see the losing tribes camp life and them fighting over who to vote out. Then you go to tribal council, someone gets voted out. So that format probably won't really change because every episode is formatted like that. You don't even really look at the day counter on the screen. So I feel like people saying that they won't watch Survivor because it's not 39 days, it's sort of like people saying that they're not going to watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette anymore after Chris Harrison has left. or kicked out.
Yeah, it's just I feel like if there was a legitimate gameplay element that you're concerned about because of the like 29 days versus 39 days, that's fine. But just like they haven't said for certain that it's going to be 29 days, and they also haven't said how the game is going to change as a result of that. So we really just have speculation at this point. So
Yeah, so I guess the first thing with the pros and cons of the 29 days versus 39 days is the relationships that you could build on the island. So losing 10 days means you could get less relationships. I feel like as an outsider, someone who has never played the game, we really don't know if that's the case. Lauren from Island of the Idols posted on TikTok said that these 10 days are basically filler days anyways, and like on her season they were bored all of the time, so they were just sitting around anyways, and so maybe those 10 days would foster more intimate relationships, but I feel like from the outside you can't really say for sure like, oh yeah, having 10 extra days would make me more best friends with that person versus not.
yeah, I feel like the only thing is with 10 days, it makes for less social maneuvering because it might not change your like friendship level overall, but it might be like sometimes it just an hour can make a difference in Survivor. I feel like as far as like who gets voted out at tribal, like that kind of stuff. So I feel like maybe the cumulative effect of 10 days over time might be big in that sense, but I don't know for sure because like you said, a lot of the time on Survivor seems to be filler time. Like we see so often people like just chilling around camp sleeping. So
I agree. I feel like with a shortened season, it could be a pro or a con in terms of social relationships because the game could potentially be faster. So, less days means that you have less time to connect with people potentially, but also you could still connect with people at your late night chats before you go to bed and stuff. So, maybe with less days, it means you would go more with the status quo and then you would just vote out the person at the bottom of the alliance, at the bottom of the totem pole, because there's less time to like make that big move to try to vote out or try to flip things because you only have 2 days in between each tribal council. So that could be a con. But on the flip side of it, I could also see people maybe with a shorter season, you want to make big moves quicker because you have less time in the game to vote out all of these people. So things could get shaken up because tribal council is every 2 days. So you could be like, oh, let's vote out the big dog tonight because I know in 2 days we're going to merge or we're going to tribe swap. So I can play more risky because who cares? We're going to switch in 2 days. Like it doesn't matter.
also just like people might have less time to overthink things or get cold feet. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think it could be a pro or con. We really don't know in terms of like, will the game be faster? Will there be less social relationships? Will people just want to vote out the bottom person on their alliance? I think that will be something super interesting to see come season 41.
Yeah, and I guess it'll be interesting because I feel like how season 41 goes will also kind of give us an idea of how season 42 might go if season 42 also has the shortened season. So,
Which is interesting because like season 41 and 42 are being filmed back to back right now. So it's like they won't be able to see how did 41 play. So 42, they might do, oh, let's be more risky. But 41, maybe they were like less risky and they just voted out the bottom person in the alliance since they don't get to watch what the previous people did.
yeah, and I feel like in normal Survivor, like that can change things just because, like, I feel like a lot of times we see people playing the same bad game back to back. Like Russell played the same bad game back to back. Amanda Kimmel played the same bad game back to back. And so I guess that's kind of different because they're people who played on back to back seasons rather than just back to back seasons where the second season didn't get to see the first play. But I don't know. I think it'll be an interesting test case, I guess.
I agree. So with the shorter season, the next thing that we're talking about is the potential to have less exciting challenges. So now instead of having two separate challenges, one for reward and one for immunity, they might combine it. So one challenge for reward and immunity. So we get to see less challenges, which is also a little bit of a bummer because seeing the challenges is also super cool. But I feel like in the seasons recently, like even in season 40, they cut out reward challenges because of timing. So it's not even like we were seeing all of the challenges anyway. So some people are thinking, okay, if you do a challenge every 2 days, then your challenges might not be super complex due to like building schedules, timing schedules, like money, stuff like that. So we might see a lot of like boring or less complex challenges depending, but if they're still in the same spot in Fiji, they could reuse old things maybe. I'm not sure how that really works, you know?
I think it also depends on when they decide to do double boots and stuff like that. Because I feel like they have to do the more like boring challenges earlier on in the season when there's just a lot of people. Because it's like having to build like 12 of the same like individual immunity station is like a lot to do. So I feel like if they do a lot of the double boots before the merge and then end up um having people like merge at a lower number than we're used to, we could get cooler challenges just because there would be fewer people at the merge.
Yeah, that's also something like we really don't know. It could be a pro, it could be a con. We could have cooler challenges, less cool challenges. We would just have less challenges numerically. We really don't know if they're going to be cool or not at this point.
And I feel like part of that is also good for the contestants because physically, if you're doing half the number of challenges, that's better for you because you're not expending as many calories. And I think in general, physically, 29 days is going to be a lot easier for the contestants than 39 is, just because, like, when you get into starvation mode, day 39 is exponentially harder than day 29 just because you've been hungry for so long. And so I would kind of hope that we would see maybe fewer food reward challenges because it's already going to be a shorter game, which would be interesting, I think.
That makes sense because I feel like if you had food reward every other day, then one group of people, one tribe, one super challenge beast could always be eating every other day, which I guess sort of takes away some of like the survivor surviving aspect, which it seems like some people are angry about because they want to see people like suffer and be cold and tired and starve. But also, I feel like even in modern day Survivor compared to like the early seasons of Survivor, we really don't see a lot of that camp life anymore where people are starving, where people are like suffering in the outdoor elements. It's more like you have certain materials now and you're not in those climates where like you had to hike 10 million miles and like suffer every day.
I feel like the last time I remember genuinely seeing contestants suffer was on Second Chances. So I feel like since then it's kind of been smooth sailing.
So, yeah, I guess going into some strategy things, I guess we sort of touched upon it with like the whole relationships, but I feel like with strategy, I really am interested to see will these upcoming seasons will they also be 14 episodes or will they shorten the number of episodes because there's less days? It seems like if you're still starting with a cast of 18 to 20 people, you would hopefully still have 14 episodes even if there's only 29 days, which if they keep with 14 episodes, that I feel like can only be a plus. It can only be a pro because right now, for every 42-minute episode, they have to squeeze in 3 days across numerous tribes if it's pre-merge into a 42-minute episode. So like we already don't really see much in the episodes, but now if they're going into 2 days and then they can split that into a 42-minute episodes, I'm hoping then we can see more of like camp life, more strategy, stuff like that, because you have less hours that you're trying to fit into the episode slot.
I feel like another thing strategy wise that might change is idol finding Because if you only have, like, if you go to tribal and then there's only 48 hours until the next tribal and you're asleep for like 12 of those and you also have to like go do chores around camp and stuff, like, is there less time to find idols? Will we see the end of Idlegeddon because people don't have as much time to find idols? I kind of hope so, just because I feel like that would also kind of make the strategy fresh and interesting.
Honestly, I hope so too. Like, I don't know, because you have to do a challenge and then you go to tribal, so there's really not a lot of time to like dilly dally, and maybe that could be bad for strategy because half your day is spent filming, half your day is spent doing the challenge, and then you have to do confessionals, and then you have to cook rice and go like to the bathroom and stuff. Then it's like, oh, you don't really have much time left to like go off and look for things or to maybe potentially strategize. So that could be a con in terms of strategy if there's not a lot of like downtime where people can like just hang out and like, chat about strategy things. But yeah, I feel like with having the same number of episodes with less days, it can only be a pro.
Yeah, and I don't know, I just feel like editing wise, sometimes we feel the editing in Survivor kind of makes us question stuff. So, like Rachel said, having less to edit into one episode if they have 14 episodes would be lit.
Yeah, I think just the entire outcome of this shortened season, if it's good or if it's bad, really comes down to production and editing. Like, how will they format a shorter game? Will they change some rules with like idols, or will they put in less advantages? Will they like stick in a ton of advantages and idols? Then things would be bad. But I think if you maybe like got rid of some, I don't know, maybe have less advantages basically, and then you don't have edge of extinction and stuff like that, I really think, a shorter game can be a good season.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that, like, what makes a season good or bad isn't the length of the game, it's how well people play and, like, the strategy behind it. So that's just me.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't even know Survivor South Africa, the number of days that they did was 27. I knew for Australia it was like 50 plus because they like say it a lot in the episode. So it's like, oh, we didn't even know that Survivor South Africa had a shorter season to begin with. So it's sort of like, in the grand scheme of things, it's just the number of days.
Especially because Survivor South Africa, I think, ends up having more episodes for fewer days than Survivor US does. So yeah, in the grand scheme of things, like Rachel said earlier, the days was like an arbitrary thing. So I personally am still just excited that we get any Survivor at all.
Me too, Alyssa. I'm just like, there's so much negativity and everything online with this days thing, and I'm like, dang. I'm just so excited for August, September, when like preseason happens, the cast happens. It's like, I'm just excited. Even if it's a really bad season, we're having new Survivor to talk about. We're having like new players to talk about and to analyze. And it's like, that's fun. So even if it sucks and it's like a shorter season, there's nothing we can do about it now. And maybe this is something that they're going to do forever, or maybe it's just a season 41, 42 thing because of the pandemic. It's like, we really don't know. So you can't really like say you're never going to watch Survivor again when we don't know if this is around for a while or if it's a short-term thing.
Yeah, and I guess I'm just personally excited to see like what happens next. I'm always looking forward to the way Survivor changes throughout the seasons, because if we were still watching the same game as it was in season 1, the show probably still wouldn't be around. So yeah.
And honestly, having something change, like, oh, new days, it's sort of like a twist because it's like, oh, you throw in edge of extinction, you throw in fire tokens. Those are twists trying to like invigorate the game, trying to change the game, trying to evolve the game. So having shorter days, you can just think of it as sort of like a twist, like, oh, let's see how these people do with a shorter season. Will it be good or will it be bad? And it's just sort of like another twist. So I'm interested to see how that works out.
Yeah, I'm interested in it too. And as always, we'll be talking about the season when it airs. We'll be doing preseason stuff once we know more. about the cast and stuff like that. And we're just really excited to be going on this journey with you. So let us. Oops. Oh, my internet blipped. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of this 29-day format. Try to keep your comments positive if you can. We don't want to contribute to the storm of negativity in the world if we can help it. So, yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye!